Welcome back to The Bible is Art, where we explore the literary artistry of the Bible. And in this week, we're looking at some cool stuff in the genealogy and Genesis chapter 5 and learning a technique to help you understand all genealogies. We've been looking at the genealogies in Genesis chapter 4 and 5, and we've been looking at some cool literary stuff there because the genealogies in the Bible are not just lists of names like our genealogies are today, but they're these like rich, deep literary things that the authors do. And we've been looking at the genealogies in chapters 4 and 5 of Genesis because we have two contrasting families. We have the evil serpentine Cainite line in Genesis chapter 4 and the godly line descended from Seth and Adam. And we're going to look at a technique to help you understand these. And the technique goes something like this. The first step to understanding any genealogy is to understand the main pattern. So every genealogy will have some sort of pattern with the family, then the kids, and stuff like that. The pattern in our genealogy looks like this. A lived for X years and then fathered B. A lived Y years after he had fathered B, fathering sons and daughters. A's whole life lasted X plus Y years, then he died. So this first step, if you understand that pattern, then you can see, okay, what is the author emphasizing and de-emphasizing and all the interesting stuff that's going on there. But today, I'm more interested in the second thing, the second part of understanding genealogies, and that's to look for the break in the pattern. So most, if not all, genealogies in the Bible will always break that pattern in some way. So normally the author will come in and give us just like a sentence or a phrase or maybe two sentences that tell us like a little story or a little character trait or something like that. It breaks it in because genealogies are tools of characterization. So they're not just telling us a random story about this character and be like, this was an interesting fact about Bill. No, they're characterizing the whole family. So that when we're told about these little tidbits of information or little stories, that's telling us, hey, let me let you in into clue into the deep structure of this family. This is the essence of that family. So what's the breaks in pattern in our genealogy in Genesis chapter 5? Well, there's two. Here and here with Enoch and Lamech. So let's look at Enoch first. His break goes something like this. Enoch walked with God and he was not because God took him. Okay, so he walks with God, which is this metaphor for living a faithful, righteous life, and then God takes him. So how does this unfold something deep about him and this family? Well, there's two fascinating things that our author is doing. The first thing is that he says that he walked with God. Now, our author has been sparse with this verb, using it only one time up to this point. And that was in the garden. And this verb that was used was not used of a human being there, but it was used of God. God was the one who walked previously, and here we have Enoch walking. So that is, he's doing the same kind of activity that God is. He's being a good image of God. And the result of that is that God takes him. So in some way, he is it that he surpasses death? He doesn't die, or maybe he dies. That's how God takes him. We're not sure. All that we know is that God takes him because he walks this way. God takes him, and it's interesting how this taking is described. It just says he was not. Now, this is a subtle allusion back to Genesis 1, because if you remember in Genesis chapter 1, God is constantly saying, let there be light, and there was light, that there be, and there was this constant use of the verb to be. So here you have a similar word used, and it says he, not that he was, but he was not. That is to say, it's the same kind of thing. You see, Enoch has lived this faithful life, walking year after year. And the conclusion of that is that God sort of guides him towards a gentle conclusion, taking him up in the same way that he began everything, concluding in the same way that he started. It's this sort of beautiful drawing his life full circle. Okay, so that's the cool stuff that's going on with Enoch. But what about with Lamech? Well, it's interesting with Lamech that in Genesis chapter 4, the two names that are repeated in Genesis chapter 4 and Genesis chapter 5 are two characters here, Enoch and Lamech. And it's especially important to pay attention to that when we get to Lamech, because in both Genesis chapter 4 and that evil line, and here, both Lamechs are the only people who have any dialogue. So it's as if the author is saying, hey, really compare these two people because you're going to learn about something. So let's compare them. Check these out. So there are lots of important comparisons with what's going on, but just start at the beginning. The first thing we're told about Lamech, the evil Lamech, is that he takes something. He takes two wives. Now, in the Bible, there's this pattern that will reoccur, and it's where someone sees something as good and they take it. So Eve sees that the fruit is good and she takes it. In the next chapter, in Genesis chapter 6, the event that is the last straw or the last log before the flood is that you have these sons of God seeing that the daughters of men are good and taking them. Another allusion back to that first sin. So also in the narrative of David and Bathsheba, David will see that Bathsheba is good and he will take her. So the authors are continually subtly alluding back to this, the first sin, to say that this is like a primal sin going on. This is the Ur sin. It has the same character. And we have an allusion back to Lamech, this evil Lamech here, where he has that character of taking. And what does he take? Well, he takes two wives. He's our first polygamist, not the original intention. Well, this is in contrast to the righteous Lamech, who the first thing we're told about is that he lives, and he lives for a long time. Lamech 1, evil Lamech, takes, but Lamech 2 just lives. Well, the second thing is that the evil Lamech is not only a polygamist, but he's a murderer. And this is in contrast to the life of the good Lamech, where we're told that he works. This is what it says. Out of the ground that the Lord has cursed, this one will bring us relief from our work, from the painful toil of our hands. So the good Lamech has been working. He's been doing the thing that God commanded. Not only that, but notice what the focus of each of the dialogues is. The evil Lamech says this, Ada and Zillah, hear my voice. You wives of Lamech, listen to what I say. I have killed a man for wounding me, a young man for striking me. If Cain's revenge is sevenfold, then Lamech's is 77-fold. The evil Lamech's focus is on revenge, demanding that his wives listen to him about all the revenge he's going to get. In contrast, the good Lamech is focused on rest. We've just seen that he's a worker, and that he's saying, this son of mine will give us rest. Notice that sequence. He's been working, and then he is looking forward to the rest that his son will give. That is, the same thing that we were supposed to do from the beginning. God works for 6 days and then he rests, makes little images, and they're supposed to do the same thing. And that's precisely what the righteous Lamech is doing. The evil Lamech is looking to the past, looking at this action, these things that happened to him, what this man striked him, and all the revenge he's going to get, where the righteous Lamech is looking to the future and what his son will bring him rest. And you get a fascinating numerological comparison too, because the wicked Lamech says that he's going to get 77-fold revenge. Well, that's contrasted with another 7, but here it's 777, and that is the years of the righteous Lamech's life. Notice what our author is doing. He's saying, oh, you're focused on this abundant revenge you're going to get. Which would you rather have, this abundant revenge or this enormously long, beautiful life? And that sort of connects to this last fascinating comparison that our author is doing, and that is the evil Lamech has been focused on multiplying, getting a lot of evil stuff, right? Multiplying wives, multiplying revenge, and multiplying speech. Just notice the difference in length between the two Lamech speeches. The evil Lamech's is much longer. Now, to comment on that, what our author does immediately after he's boasting about all this revenge and he has this long speech, our narrator immediately kills him off. Now, I don't mean kill off in that he kills him off in some way. I mean narratively kills him off. That means he stops him from speaking. He stops him from relaying anything else about his family. Notice we're not told anything about the rest of his sons or the rest of his family or his descendants or anything or how long he lived. No, he just kills him right off. You think you're going to talk forever and get all these amazing things? Not in this story. That's in contrast to the righteous Lamech, because after him, his story issues in the story of Noah. This beautiful, long story of the redemption of this family and the recreation of the world. That's what comes out of his story. It's not preemptively cut off. It's unfolded more and more and more. This beautiful story. So these are the breaks in the genealogy. And these are telling us, hey, listen, this is the character of this family. This is the character of the serpentine family, and this is the character of the family that trusts in this Lord. This is the kind of things that happen to that family. Beautiful, literarily, morally, aesthetically beautiful. Thanks so much for watching this week, guys. I really appreciate it. As always, I've got a Patreon page that you can go there. If you don't know what Patreon is, it's just a place where you can support channels and monetarily. So if you'd like to do that, it would really help. And if you have any questions or ideas, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I really appreciate it. Thanks.